That was a double ding because I know I needed to get your attention. Welcome everybody to Rotary. I am your president, Jane Klingman Scott. Today's program will be from Trinity Health, the history and the future, chronological. That's how that works. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and then a little literacy message, and Contessa Alexander will offer the reflection. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As Contessa comes up, he will get a little bit of literacy today, and it's a big month in March. It's the Reading Literacy Month, and it is Women's History Month. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about women in literacy. According to the UN, women make up the majority of illegitimate adults in the world globally, accounting for 479 million, or 2/3 of the general adult illiterate population. In America, 17% of women are illiterate as compared to the 10% rate for men.
All right.
One of the issues, I think, is that we need to listen to voices of literature. And so that's be our theme this month. And this is from Harper Lee. The book to read is not one that thinks for you, but one that makes you think.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Contessa Alexander, and I have the pleasure of being the co-chair of Rotary DEI Committee along with Andy Belo. And today I will reflect on one of Rotary's DEI Code of Conduct points by reading a quote by Maya Angelou. We all should know that diversity makes for a rich tapestry, and we must understand that all the threads of the tapestry are equal in value no matter what their color. I found that Maya's words capture the true essence of one of Rotary's DEI Code of Conduct points, which is to celebrate diversity. She talks about how the threads are all equal in value despite their color. Just as our code of conduct point, we must celebrate, understand, and accept everyone and what makes them unique. No matter what gender, religion, cultural background, physical ability, sexual orientation, or age, we were all purposely and intentionally created to illustrate the importance of our differences. So I challenge each Rotarian to embrace individuals from your workplace and communities who think, look, and operate differently than you. When doing this, always remember to be mindful, genuine, but most importantly, respectful. Thank you.
Beautiful words. Enjoy your lunch. We will reconvene in about 10 minutes for our program. We are going to reconvene, and we have a number of guests today. So I'm going to ask, instead of going through the roll call, every sponsor who gave me a blue card, please come on up with your guest so we can introduce you. Yes.
Right there. Okay, sorry. As everybody makes their way to the front, I'm Jenny Sprague, and I'm pleased to introduce my guest to you today. I know she's familiar to many of you out there. This is Sue Allure. Many of you know her through Women Who Care, a wonderful nonprofit organization that helps many, many nonprofits in our community. And I thought she might be interested in the program today. So yeah, please welcome Sue. Okay. You're all set. We can head back.
Good afternoon. I'm Courtney Perrette. I'm with Community Choice Credit Union. My guest is Ethan Lohman. He's with our downtown member center. He's also a member center manager. He's in the process of completing his application. He attended Rotary orientation yesterday.
Hello there. I have Claudine Weber with me, Chief Philanthropy Officer at Trinity Health Muskegon. And to steal Ginny's words, I also thought she might be interested in the program today. So she is here with me to say hi to all of you people in the room.
I think you're seeing a little bit of a pattern here. Dave Alexander, I got Laura Fitzpatrick, a longtime community colleague of mine, and from the Health Project, and she is the community's health improvement officer there, and a prospective new member.
Hello, everyone. Arlen Gaddy with Earhart Construction. Please welcome Trevor Barclay. Trevor serves as a sales and service engineer for Secure Alarm.
Please say welcome to our two wonderful exchange students. Emma from Austria has been cheering at the games in the fall and now competitive cheer, which is hard work. And Design played basketball in the fall or just now, and she's going to try out for lacrosse. So these two young women are really pushing how they can adjust to American culture.
Fellow Rotarians, please welcome Brock Hyder. He is with Northern Lights Property Inspection, and he's prospective member.
So please join me in welcoming Shamaya Gilmore. Shamaya is an intern at United Way of the Lakeshore. She served 2 summers previously as an intern and then went off to U of M to get her degree. And now she's in between the bachelor's and a master's program this fall. So she's spending some time. She came in after Christmas and said, could you use me? And oh my goodness, I won't even have to train her. So please welcome Shamaya Gilmore. And she's interested in health informatics. So this is a good program for her.
Good afternoon, Rotary. Marty Seitzma here with some students. We haven't had them in a couple weeks, so I know your cheers are just building up and are ready to explode. So I'm expecting good things because we've got West Michigan Christian in the house. To introduce 2 of the seniors is Josh Skolma. He is the counselor at the school.
Thank you for having us. I brought with me 2 of our upstanding seniors, and since it's March, they're already thinking spring break and graduation, but they're going to say a little bit about themselves.
Hi, my name is Sydney Wagonmaker, and I'm a senior. This past fall, I played volleyball, and I'm also the class vice president. Next year, I plan to attend Calvin University in order to study biology, and I'd like to minor in either theology or Spanish.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Williams. I'm also a senior at West Michigan Christian High School. I'm involved in many different things like student council, theater, choir. If you can think of it, I might be in it. I plan on attending next year Liberty University to study political science, and I eventually would like to run for Congress.
And say about tonight.
Oh yeah. I'm also involved in theater, so this weekend, Friday or Saturday, if you have nothing to do, we are putting on a production of The Wizard of Oz at Orchard View High School. So if you have downtime, we would love to have you.
I want to congratulate the young lady for putting together the ologies with biology and theology. What more could we need? That's wonderful. We have to bring Ginny back up now to introduce our program. No, Jenny can sit down. Rem can come up. Team tags.
Figure Jenny spends enough time up here as it is, so. Well, I think the roster of visiting guests today speaks to the importance of this topic we're about to hear. So I'm Rem Sprague, and I'm happy to introduce today's speaker. Gary Allure has served as president for Trinity Health Muskegon for the past 5 years. He's a Muskegon native and no stranger to healthcare, having held roles in healthcare finance and senior leadership for the past 35 years. Gary's been actively involved in the transformation of healthcare in our community, as our health system has evolved from 3 smaller community hospitals to Trinity Health Muskegon, the largest regional health system on the Lakeshore. Gary graduated from Albion College with a BA in Economics and Management and earned his MBA at Grand Valley State University. On a personal note, Gary and his wife Sue have been married for 37 years. I think that's still the current number, yeah? And have three adult children, Olivia, Eric, and Alex. Please welcome Gary Allure.
Thanks very much, Rem. And welcome, everyone. I appreciate the great turnout to hear about what's going on here at Trinity Health in Muskegon. And I'll have you go ahead and put on the slides for me, and we'll jump right in. Crazy to think that I've been in healthcare for 35 years. When Rem said that, it's like, wow. So anyway, and I tell you what, the last 4 years have been the most interesting of all 35. I can tell you that. The couple years of the pandemic, and we were so excited to be coming out of the pandemic, which we really are out of it. We have almost no COVID patients in the hospital, and now we're kind of beyond the flu and RSV season. So things are getting back to normal from a business volume perspective, but they sure aren't normal in the hospital industry across the country right now. So we'll spend a little time talking about that. But the first thing I just want to share is how I start all my presentations. The foundation of our organization at Trinity Health in Muskegon, it's about our mission. And our mission is to serve together in the spirit of the gospel as a compassionate and transforming healing presence in this community. So that's why we're here. That's what we strive for every day in our organization. And you look at kind of our mission drives our values, which ultimately the promise that we try to strive for every day for the community is that we want to listen, we partner, and we try to make it easy for our community. And we, at the end of the day, we want to be the organization where physicians want to practice, where colleagues want to work, and where the community wants to get their care. So that's what we're about, and it's based on our culture and our foundation. So the topic was a little bit about our history and a little bit about future. So when you look at the history of Trinity Health in Muskegon, it's now 120 years. So in 1903, the Sisters of Mercy started Mercy Hospital. And then shortly thereafter, Charles and Julia Hackley donated $1 million in 1904, which would be like 35 million in today's dollars, to start Hackley Hospital. And then a group of osteopathic physicians in 1942 decided that there was a need for osteopathic medicine in this community and started Muskegon Osteopathic Hospital, which was then Muskegon General Hospital shortly after that. So those are the 3 smaller, Rem talked about, we had 3 smaller community hospitals in this community, and I think leaders, both medical leaders, community leaders said, we can't have that much duplication in this community. We need to come together as a health system in this community, and we've done exactly that, especially over the last 10 years, 10, 12 years since our Hackley Mercy merger came together. So just a little bit about Trinity Muskegon today as we're now together. We have 331 beds in the new tower over on the Mercy campus. Our annual revenue organizationally is about $800 million in revenue. So really large size organization. We have actually become really a referral center up and down the Lakeshore. So with some of our specialty programs, which I'll talk about, we're definitely a referral center, and we're seeing a lot of business come from the north and from the south. So normally, from a stability perspective in hospital business, you want to be making about a 3% operating margin. And in the history of Trinity and Muskegon, at least in the last 18 years, that's really been about our average. we're currently in a position where we're losing a 3% margin right now. So we're in a very different position, as is hospital business across the country, and I'll spend a little time on that. Don't like to talk about that one, but that is our reality today. It's been a difficult situation, and we'll talk through that. Volume-wise, we're slightly lower than we were pre-pandemic, but we do about 18,000 discharges every year. We do about 15,000 surgical cases, of which about 5,000 of those are inpatient cases and about 10,000 are outpatient cases. And we still have about 3,900 colleagues that work for Trinity Health in Muskegon. So as you've heard before, we're definitely the largest employer by quite a bit in this community, and we take that responsibility very seriously because we've got 3,900 nice paying jobs in this community, and it's important to the economy of this community. So we do take that very seriously. And we have a medical staff in West Michigan. Between our physicians and our mid-level providers, we've got 800 providers that are connected to this organization. So, and I didn't mention we have about 90,000 ER visits a year and about 40,000 urgent care visits in this community every year. So a big volume of just urgent and ER kinds of cases that come through our organization every year. This is an important thing. We are part of a large system. You see this more and more across the country. There's very few independent, smaller hospitals in the country. Most are connected to some large system. Trinity Health is the second largest faith-based system in the country, and having Trinity Muskegon part of that bigger network really does provide a lot of stability for this community. Trinity is about a $20 billion organization all over the country, as you see, and they continue to grow across the country. But to have that stability and to have that capital capacity, as we've made some significant investments, that's a really nice stability for this community. So just speaking of that, as we look back over the last 6 or 7 years, we've made some really solid investments in the community that really do set us up for a successful future. So when we look at facilities, we're in a really good place in this community, and most of these facilities are 20 to 40-year facilities. So we've got a great foundation going forward. We built the new medical center that opened right in the middle of the pandemic in October of 2020. But we're in that facility now and filling it up most every day. But that was about a $320 million investment in the community. And then part of that just one of the really nice things that was 100% funded by philanthropy in this community is we opened 3 of our healing spaces last fall. So we've got our new Patient and Family Resource Center. We've got a beautiful healing garden for our patients and our visitors and our colleagues to get some reprieve from the hospital. And then we also have a new the Roger Spoolman Conference and Learning Center, which is a nice new addition to our facility as well, and those were all funded by philanthropy. A couple other investments we made on the ambulatory side, which is really where healthcare continues to move. We built the beautiful facility up in North Muskegon. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. And then we opened the new facility in Norton Shores just a few years ago. So those investments were significant as well. So we've got a good foundation from a hospital perspective, and we've got 2 large ambulatory facilities on each part of town that really helps to support each part of that community. And then we also opened, during that same period of time, we opened our new workplace health and urgent care center right across the highway from the hospital on Sherman. That was another investment that was recently made. And then a big significant announcement that Trinity Health in Grand Haven became part of Trinity Health Michigan in October of 22. So they've been now about 5 months into being part of Trinity in the state of Michigan, and that collaboration is going to only continue to grow. And we're really looking at, from an access perspective, it's really going to help us load balance along the lakeshore where patients get their care. So that connection to Grand Haven is really a strong connection. We own the medical group in Grand Haven since 2018. So the medical group's already been part of Trinity in West Michigan, and the hospital coming on was just the natural next step. But that hospital, North Ottawa, the historical name, has been in the community for 103 years, and we continue to expand that legacy, and we're really looking to use that facility and maximize what we can keep in the Grand Haven community. So a lot of work going on there. We've had a really good working relationship, so we absolutely feel like that was the nice natural next step. So a little bit about our services. So when you think about what we're known for in Muskegon, as I said, we're becoming more of, instead of being more of a primary care hospital, we're becoming more of a referral center. And some of our key service lines are noted on here, but cardiovascular services, so our CV services have really, that's been our signature service line since the early 80s when Steve Demos started an open heart program in Muskegon at Mercy Hospital. But that service line continues to be a signature service line for us. But we do an amazing amount of orthopedic care in our hospital. We've just recruited a third neurosurgeon that's going to be starting this spring, continue to grow our neuroscience program. Oncology continues to be a strong service line, and just a really foundational facility in the organization for West Michigan. What's interesting is people are so surprised that the site, when they think of the community of Muskegon, when I talk to peers around the country and around the state, they think of Muskegon as not a large community, and then they hear the size of our hospital and the kinds of things we do, and they're like, you're doing that in Muskegon? It's really interesting. We have when you look at the way you kind of look at the sickness of patients in the hospital, they call it the acuity. We have the highest acuity hospital in the state of all the Trinity hospitals because we do a lot of neurosurgery, a lot of high-end orthopedics, open heart. We have a lot of nephrology in our community. So we have a lot of sick patients that are in our hospital. And I think people look at that and say, I thought of Muskegon as more of a community hospital. You guys have a very sick population, which we all know that's not a good thing, but we do know there's that and all the tertiary care that we tend to provide in our community. So we're taking care of the sickest of the sick along the lakeshore. I thought I would just spend a couple minutes on like I said, our signature service line is cardiovascular, and we are in a really stable place. We just brought back Dr. Tad Boovy, who used to work in Muskegon 10 to 12 years ago. He actually went to Spectrum, and he was actually the chair of their heart transplant division for the last many years and decided he wanted to come back to Muskegon. So he's back in Muskegon along with our two other cardiothoracic surgeons, and we've got some great stability, and you can see we have 6 mid-level providers that support those open heart surgeons. So that program, I think Steve Demos would be very proud of where the program is today, and things are going well there. So happy to have Tad back. Another thing that we continue to do, I don't know how much you hear about it, but other than heart transplants, every new kind of innovation and technology that's coming into the heart and vascular service line across the country, we're doing it in Muskegon. Dr. Noah Thormeyer, he is doing a significant amount of structural heart. So some of that structural heart stuff that supports not having to crack open the rib cage and do an open heart, we're doing a lot of TAVRs and Watchman, and we're about to start MitroClip, which is another new innovation in the heart and vascular space. But Dr. Noah Thormeyer is also doing a lot of structural work in Muskegon. The TAVRs, which is kind of an alternate to doing an open heart, we did 140 TAVRs last year in Muskegon, and this year, so far, we're looking at about 5 a week is what we've been doing. So do the math, that's 250 what we're going to be doing this year. That business continues to grow, and Dr. Thormeyer is just doing a wonderful job and getting a really good reputation. If you look at the last 2 bullet points on this next slide, the Watchman procedure that we're doing, we're starting to do now about 4 or 5 of those a week also. Last year we did 125, but it's new innovations that are coming in the cardiology space that we're doing in Muskegon. Dr. Thormeyer was the busiest, as you can see that stat, he was the busiest implanter of Watchman in the state last year. So in Muskegon, that's what, like I said, kind of blows people away. From a quality perspective, we continue to do very well from CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid. They rate every hospital every year from a quality, service perspective, efficiency perspective. In 4 of the last 5 years, Trinity Muskegon has been a 5-star hospital from a CMS perspective. That rating usually comes out in the April timeframe, so we'll find that out coming soon. But we've been doing very well from a quality perspective, so I think the community can be proud from a quality perspective about our organization. So I'm going to transition now before I take questions, just where things are. So the future of healthcare, this slide is really, we're doing everything we can across the country and in Muskegon to try to keep people out of the hospital, to try to continue to provide settings in our ambulatory sites. And there's more and more things that people are doing at home. One thing that happened during the pandemic is a lot of people started to do a lot of research personally and do some self-diagnosis, and they're taking meds on their own. And there's some things that have just changed in healthcare. So we are seeing more and more things that are staying more ambulatory, not coming into the hospital. So we want that to continue to move forward, because obviously the hospital is the most expensive site of care that you can go to. So anything we can do to support continuing to grow in primary care in our ambulatory settings is going to be super important. Another thing that is huge, and the thing that's impacting hospitals across the country, is the shortage of healthcare workers. So during the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic, we're so excited to come out of this pandemic, and then we're coming out of it and we're like, where did all the healthcare workers go? And this is not a Muskegon phenomenon. This is going on all over the country, but up to 15% of healthcare workers just left the industry during the pandemic, some to retirement, because the average age of nurses across the country was fairly high before the pandemic. So many decided to retire early, but a lot of people have left the healthcare industry, and that's having a huge impact on the cost of care from a wage perspective. So when you look at that shortage, really it's a supply and demand thing. So across the country and in Muskegon, so today we have, of our 800 nurses roughly that we employ in Muskegon, about 75, we have about 150 agency nurses working in Muskegon. So we have an internal agency within Trinity that we have about 75 nurses. And then we have an external, we use external agencies also to help supplement the staffing in the hospital. There's another 75 nurses. So the cost of those nurses significantly higher than the cost of our employed colleagues. And we're using lots of different recruitment ideas to try to bring nurses to this community, and a lot of different incentives for nurses working, some overtime and those kind of things. So we're doing a lot of different things to make sure that we're staffing our hospital the way we need to staff it, but it's very costly. And when you used to talk about a travel nurses used to have to travel to, I'm going to go to Ohio, or I'm going to go to Indiana and do some travel nursing. Today, you have people traveling to Spectrum and working from Muskegon, traveling to Spectrum. Nurses from Grand Rapids traveling and working in Muskegon. So it's just been a weird thing going on across the country. And every hospital, virtually every hospital is dealing with shortages in healthcare workers. And I know many of you that are in other industries, there's shortages everywhere, but I'm here to tell you that healthcare shortages are very real. The one thing that I can say that we're very proud of is that when we can get nurses recruited to Muskegon, we do a really good job at keeping them. As many of you know, when we get people to Muskegon, we can keep them here. Getting them here is not always easy, and it's still not easy. So our turnover for Muskegon and nursing is about 12%. So annually, we lose about 12% of our nurses to turnover. That used to be about 8 or 9% before the pandemic, but the industry average right now is over 20%. The Trinity average in Michigan, for all the hospitals in Michigan, is 20%. Muskegon's got the lowest turnover in the state, but just getting the candidates sourced into Muskegon is not easy. And then that's just our reality. So we continue to work on it. And the other thing that's happening, as you all know, we're a nonprofit, faith-based hospital system. The other thing that's going on across the country is the for-profits like surgery centers and pharmacies, and just the for-profit world is kind of cherry picking some of the more profitable businesses in healthcare. We're a community hospital. We take everyone in the community that comes into our hospital, we take them regardless of their ability to pay. The for-profits don't have to do that. They're about returning a margin. So that we compete with that every day across the country in healthcare too. But that's just our world, and we're dealing with it, and we're doing a lot of things to try to offset some of the outside trends that are impacting us. So, and just a couple industry trends. We, as a healthcare industry, right now, the overall healthcare loss in the industry, including the for-profits, is about a 1% operating loss. The system that Muskegon's part of is at about a 2.5% to 3% operating loss as well, like Muskegon is. So it's going on across the country right now. We're trying to work through it. The unique thing about healthcare is we're 70% funded by Medicare and Medicaid, and that's a fixed payment. So when you think about other businesses, when your costs go up, you pass it on to your clients, your customers. We can't do that. We get a fixed payment from 70% of our business. And then Blue Cross is kind of like a fixed payment also. So there's not a lot coming there. So your costs going up, it's hard to pass that anywhere in the nonprofit healthcare setting. So we're dealing with that and just trying to do everything we can to continue to work to be more efficient and looking at different care models, because we know the next 5 to 7 years of recruiting nurses is going to be super difficult. So we've got to think of different ways using virtual nursing, using more of a team model with RN, LPN, maybe MA to take care of a bigger group of patients, but looking at a lot of different creative ways to try to take care of the patients we need to take care of in this community. So a lot of really good ideas going on right now related to that. Let's see, what didn't I talk about here? So one of the things we're doing organizationally is we're kind of, as an organization, kind of doing some zero-based budgeting right now, just looking at things as if we're starting over and just saying, looking at things with a beginner's eye and what can we do differently to help to make sure that we're taking care of this community and able to do it at a small margin every single day. So that's a lot of work going on. And this is another important factor about being part of Trinity across the country is there's a really strong arm of Trinity that does advocacy, and they're connected to all the hospital associations. So we're very connected to Michigan Hospital Association, but Trinity's connected across the country to hospital associations that are doing a lot of advocacy with the government and the state government to just try to kind of share the message about what's going on when we're looking at how the budget gets developed as a country and as a state to make sure healthcare it's visible what's going on in our healthcare community right now. So that's a nice thing that it's nice to have Trinity part of that. So, and then we're doing all kinds of things with our rounding and colleague engagement to try to do everything we can to keep that turnover down. So we keep every nurse that comes to work for our organization. So those are some of the major themes going on in healthcare. I would happily open it up to any questions that you all have.
I really want to thank Gary for presenting, and we have our 5 minutes of question and answers, and I know there are a huge number of questions. So I'm going to ask everybody to save your speeches for after the meeting. We could actually have a little round table over here if somebody wants to. So save the time for people who have questions. Thank you.
And I actually don't have ask me a question. If you want to ask me a question after, I'm good with that too. Go ahead.
As a community hospital, a nonprofit, particularly one that spreads the gospel by providing health care, I think Trinity Health Muskegon really punches above its weight. It's probably not a good example to use for a hospital, but in some of the larger markets, we're seeing some for-profit components of nonprofit hospitals. Is that something that Trinity Health Muskegon is currently has or has on the horizon?
Are you saying like a for-profit division of?
That's
yeah,
correct.
So a couple things that we're connected to. So there is everyone's probably familiar with the Muskegon Surgery Center in Muskegon. So we're a 35% owner of that ambulatory surgery center. So so a lot of the business that's there used to come to the hospital, but at least we're connected to it and we're a partial owner of that facility. One of the things the one positive thing that does happen because we're a nonprofit organization and that we have a significant percentage of indigent in our hospital, we get 340B discounted pharmacy drug pricing. So we do get favorable pricing on our pharmacy drugs. That's part of still where we are financially, but that's one thing that we do get because we take care of a pretty disproportionate share of the underserved patients. Let me see, other for-profit, we had a for-profit urgent care that's it's basically a part of our system now, but we don't have a lot of other for-profit kind of ventures going on, but we're connected to a few different things going on in the community. But that's definitely a strategy of Trinity because we can see everyone's kind of picking our pockets here and there, so we're trying to figure out how can we be part of it versus just kind of let it happen. So
Yeah, I'm just thinking of ways
Yeah,
to kind of
yeah.
mitigate that negative 3%
yes,
slide on. Yeah.
thank you. We'll take all ideas.
Thank you. I had a question on the shortage of healthcare workers. What opportunities are there to inspire and maybe provide opportunities for students before high school to get inspired to go the healthcare route?
That's a great question. We had a physician leadership meeting this morning, and Dr. Evans, who's an ER doc, who's our chief of staff, he started something, and they just had a meeting last week, and I can't remember what school system they went to, but we're trying to start a program called Grow Your Own, because we're the same way. We're not able to recruit enough people from the outside, so how do we get in front of, and that's been more of a high school thing, not earlier than high school, but trying to get in front of, just getting in front of kids to let them know there are so many professions in healthcare that aren't necessarily physicians or nurses, but we have so many support departments that people come in, start working in the lab as a phlebotomist or something, and say, okay, I like healthcare, I'm going to go back and get a lab degree or a nursing degree, but just trying to get them into the system through that kind of a program, that's a good idea. We need to do more of that. We've been more focused on working with all the community colleges in Grand Valley and Ferris and West Shore, but we need to get younger. And like I said, one of our docs is trying to get that going. So, Dave.
Gary, name a public policy that if you had a magic wand, you could change that would help healthcare in your institution and in our community.
Whew. Yeah. Boy, that's a good question, because I think the government is looking for more creative ideas. I think one public policy would be to put more of, right now we're a sick care system and we get paid for the volume we do after we do it. I think for the federal government and the state government to put more money at risk with providers to say, if we can do a better job keeping our community healthy, we get to share in that savings for the healthcare. Right now, the incentive is to just keep doing business, So I think that would be one way. And there's been some of that work going on. It's always talked about, but there's never a lot of movement in that area. But I think that just controlling more of the first dollar, and then it's on us. If we can't keep our community healthier, then we're going to lose on it. But if we can, we've got all the providers to help do that. That would be, I think, something that it would be nice to start piloting that kind of stuff.
Real quick,
DJ.
because I know there's several of us in the room that kind of help the community benefit side of Trinity Health. Could you just describe for those that might not know what this nonprofit does to give back to the community?
Yes, we have, that's a great point. DJ, there's many in here that are part of our community, and Laura's part of that, part of our organization, but we do every 3 years, we do a community health needs assessment, and the Muskegon Community Health Project is basically the arms and legs of rolling out that community needs assessment. And we've got, how many coalitions? We've got 10? Yeah, 10. Thank you, Laura. We have 10 coalitions out of the health project that community members are helping us move forward. Basically what the community is saying is, here's the needs in this community. We invest a significant amount into community benefit every year. Not only what we invest in the health project, but also the significant subsidy we have in serving the underserved. Both of those things are connected to our community benefit. One of the huge things that we continue to do is we have, I'm not sure how many community health workers we have, but we have a significant number of community health workers that just help the community navigate the healthcare system, help them get Medicaid, help make sure they're getting their pharmaceuticals, all those kind of things. That's just an investment we make to take care of the community. And it's basically the underserved part of the community, in addition to all the coalitions. So it is an important part of what we do, and that's something that we need to be able to continue to do, and we need to be able to provide a bottom line to continue to do that as well. So we're absolutely committed to that as part of our mission. So,
Afternoon, Gary. Two-part question. Recently closed the 8th floor of the new facility.
Yes.
I was curious if that's financial or staffing. And two, our urgent care facilities have been understaffed for quite some time in the community. When can we expect those to have regular service hours?
Great, both great questions. So the 8th floor, I'll answer that one first. 8th floor, when I talked about our turnover and our open positions at the hospital, our 8th floor had the biggest number of open positions, and we're in a pretty good place in staffing during our day shift, but on our night shift, interesting thing going on in healthcare, nurses that came out of school used to go work on nights for 3 or 4 years and then finally get a day shift job. Nurses can work any shift they want to work right now, so we've struggled with staffing on the third shift, at night shift. And by closing the unit and basically, so we have 331 beds, we have 30 beds on that 8th floor. We decided we're going to disperse those 30 patients amongst the rest of the beds and try to get some efficiency by doing it, but mostly just to get the staffing ratios where we need to on the night shift especially. And that was our floor that had the highest open positions. That's also a surgical floor. We're not turning away any surgeries, but our surgical floor is the one floor that it grows up, and during the week, we'll get up to 25 to 30 patients. On the weekend, a lot of surgical patients get discharged, so it's slower on the weekend. That was the floor that would be the easiest to kind of disperse to the rest of the floors. The other thing we're doing is we're working closely with Grand Haven to get more ER patients that belong in the Grand Haven community right to Grand Haven, because it's a good hospital. They've got capacity to take on some volume. So we're trying to get patients to Grand Haven, trying to get them to our hospital in Shelby is also, and then disperse them amongst the hospital. So it's basically to try to get staffing to the units that have been struggling. So it's an experiment we're trying. Another hospital in Trinity tried it about 6 months ago, and we said, okay, we're just trying to get creative as we can to try to figure it out. So we're trying this, and there'll be some bumps along the way. And the other units are going to be very full, no question. But we're trying this experiment because we're trying to support our staffing. The next question on urgent care, that's a great question. So one of the things that we did as part of Trinity, so all the urgent cares you see, they're Trinity Health Muskegon or Trinity Health Urgent Cares. We did as an organization, Trinity across the country, did a joint venture with Premier. It's a for-profit, speaking of a for-profit urgent care. That's all they do is run urgent cares across the country. We did a joint venture with them about 2 years ago, and frankly, it hasn't gone well. So in Muskegon, it hasn't gone well. Grand Rapids hasn't gone real well. So we're right now in the process of taking those back over. So they were still trademarked Trinity, but it was actually Premier running those urgent cares, and they're running it not necessarily from Muskegon. And we've had, as everyone knows, we've had 2 of them closed, and the other ones haven't been open as many hours. So we worked with Trinity and Premier to say we're taking these back over. So that's going to happen. We're trying to do it by July 1st. So they're still running them, but we're going to transition those back to our control, and because we were in a really good place before that. But staffing has been their biggest issue. Staffing, the provider part of staffing the urgent cares has been the problem. But that's what we're working on right now. In all transparency, we're trying to take them back and try to get Norton Shores back open. We've got, Sherman and North Muskegon are open. We need to get Norton Shores back open. So we've got the town kind of covered. So.
Oh, I did that. I can't do that. And you heard him. He'll be here till 2 o'clock for more questions and discussions. Next on our agenda is going to be, this time I'm right, it is Ginny Sprague, who has some Paul Harris announcements.
Thank you. I promise you this is my last hurrah. So, first of all, there is a clipboard going around the room for our March Madness Brave Rotarian contest. There's one column on the left for the men's competition, starting with the Sweet 16 round, and one on the right side for the women's, same Sweet 16. Sign up early, sign up often. Thank you. Now it is my pleasure to conduct a Paul Harris Fellow presentation. In 1957, Rotary International established the Paul Harris Fellow Award to honor Paul Harris, one of the 3 founders of Rotary. Rotary created this eponymous award to express appreciation for the financial support of the humanitarian and educational programs of the Rotary Foundation. This award is one of Rotary's most prestigious honors. Paul Harris once said, "Dreaming is not so bad if one dreams good dreams and makes them come true." Rotarians make dreams a reality through Rotary Foundation programs that provide educational opportunities, food, potable water, sanitation, healthcare, immunizations, and shelter for millions of persons here at home and around the world. Today, we will honor a deserving individual who also dreams good dreams and makes them come true. To help with this presentation, I invite Rem Sprague to come forward and tell us about our honoree, who will join the worldwide ranks of Paul Harris Fellows today. Rem?
Thank you, Jenny. So fellow Rotarians, I am delighted to introduce to you the newest Paul Harris Fellow. Now, I have to admit this is a little awkward for me. Typically, the introduction saves the individual's name until the end. But today, my introduction is really sort of an addendum to the introduction I made just a few minutes ago. Nonetheless, I ask you to hold your applause until I've completed my comments about Gary Allure. Now, you heard earlier about Gary's business background, his long experience in healthcare, and the great influence he's had on our local health system. But while exemplary, that's not enough to warrant the awarding of a Paul Harris Fellowship. So let me provide you a little more background that fully justifies this recognition. Now, I mentioned Gary is a Muskegon native, graduated from Muskegon Catholic Central High School, where he was a varsity athlete. He went on to Albion, where he ran track and played varsity football, and where he was elected by his teammates to be the team captain. So team is a continual theme in Gary's career. So, after a brief stint in public accounting, Gary followed his calling and moved into healthcare, where he has enjoyed great success. Now, Gary's commitment to his community extends well beyond his business life. He's a member and past chair of the board of the Muskegon Area Chamber of Commerce. He's a member of the board of the Community Foundation for Muskegon County. He serves on the Kids Food Basket Advisory Board. He's chaired the professional division of the United Way campaign. He's a board member of Trinity Health Emergency Medical Team. He serves the St. Francis Parish as a member of their finance council. And he's a past board member and finance chair of the Muskegon Catholic Education Foundation. Gary's also a member of Talent First, formerly the CEO Council. They are focused on ensuring that West Michigan is first in strategies to attract, develop, and retain world-class talent, including promoting diversity and equity and promoting education that will meet every potential employment opportunity. Two themes that are very closely aligned with Muskegon Rotary. As part of that collaborative, Gary co-chairs the Pre-K for All, a program to expand access to Health Start through collaboration with Muskegon, Muskegon Heights Schools, the YMCA, and Goodwill. So given his business and community commitments, is it any wonder that it has taken 3 years to arrange his visit to achieve this award? Now, fellow Rotarians, please recognize our newest Paul Harris awardee, Gary Allure.
They want to see you, so. Today, my fellow Rotarians, we move closer to a more peaceful world as Gary Allure becomes a Paul Harris Fellow. Gary, you are being recognized today as a Paul Harris Fellow in special appreciation for how your life exemplifies the humanitarian and educational objectives of the Rotary Foundation. You were designated to receive this recognition by Rem Sprague on behalf of the Muskegon Rotary Club. On behalf of the Rotary Foundation Board of Trustees, you received 3 emblems of a Paul Harris Fellow: a certificate, a lapel pin, and a medallion. The certificate states you have been named a Paul Harris Fellow in appreciation of tangible and significant assistance given for the furtherance of better understanding and friendly relations between peoples of the world. We encourage you to wear your pin to demonstrate your support of the Rotary Foundation programs that save and invigorate people's lives worldwide. Please accept our congratulations and sincere appreciation for your commitment to our shared goals of world understanding and peace. Rotarians and friends, please rise, congratulate, and recognize the newest Paul Harris Fellow in the world, Gary Allure. Congratulations, Gary. Thank you.
Right. Now, wasn't that a wonderful, life-affirming presentation? Thank you. Today, we do have birthdays, and they are with Kevin Rigo on March 2nd, Blake Kramer on March 4th, Monica Turnbull, March 5th, Elaine Stoffen and Bob Lukens on March 7th, and Trent Hancock on March 8th. I know some of you are here, so if you want to bring your birthday gifts up, we'll sing you a happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. That's in honor of Michael. And now it's time of the program that we get to know one of our own just a little better. It's our member spotlight. We have many people in this club who have a significant career and presence in the community, and that's what we want to find out about today.
My name is Jackie Farah, and I joined Rotary in 2019 because I wanted to build relationships in the community and serve as much as I can as my schedule allows. I've been with my husband, Matt, for almost 30 years. We have 3 adult sons, James, Christopher, and Jason. We also have 2 grandchildren, Garrett Patrick, who's 5, and Naomi Catherine, who is 2.5, going on 16. I enjoy long walks on the beach, hiking, reading, running, attending church, spending time with family and friends, and being part of the fabulous room reporting team at Rotary. Health West in the finance department as a provider network manager where I create and manage contracts. I love Muskegon. I grew up in the downtown area and I never left the county. Rotary does so much good and makes such a positive impact in a variety of ways. It's really an honor for me to be such a small part of a much larger picture.
I was very happy when I saw Jackie join our ranks, and still very happy to have you. Next, we are having 2 inductions into Rotary, and the sponsor is Christine Robert. So Christine, you want to come with your inductees?
Oh, there they are. Christine, we're gonna make you do this.
Okay, very good. Okay, I'll decide. JJ's going first? Okay. So I've had JJ and Dominique here with me a few times over the last couple of months to get them used to all of you and get them ready for this big worldly induction. To give you a little bit of information about them. So JJ first. JJ joined United Way of the Lakeshore family as our Chief Development Officer last August and moved back home to Michigan after 7 years in California just this last October. During his time in California, he served as a superintendent of Compass Charter Schools. While he is originally from Southeast Michigan, growing up, his family always would spend time camping here at our very own Pioneer Park. He now lives, which Bob, who was at our table, overseas, right? He's now lives just real close to Pioneer Park, so he's really kind of a few miles from that park on River Road. So he's glad to have come home and be part of the United Way family. JJ holds a Master's of Arts in Educational Leadership from San Diego State University and a Bachelor of Science degree from Central Michigan University. Fire up Chips. In history and political science. He also has a nonprofit management executive certificate from Georgetown University and is a certified fundraising executive. He is currently finishing his dissertation, Inclusion in California Public Schools, Perspectives of Their Gay Male Employees from the University of Southern California. JJ jumped right in upon moving to Muskegon, sharing and implementing ideas at United Way to connect with our donors and volunteers. He was also elected to the Association of Fundraising Professionals West Michigan Board of Directors and continues his service on the CMU National Alumni Board of Directors, chairing their scholarship committee. He enjoys being active and involved in the communities where he lives and works. JJ lives in Laketon Township with his partner Justin and their 3 cats and 3 dogs, a mini petting zoo. So it's really good they're close to the lake and the park. He's honored to be joining our Rotary Club and the International Rotary family. Please welcome JJ. And then Dominique is our Community Engagement Director at United Way of the Lakeshore. So we are now a corporate sponsor of Rotary. She is a proud Muskegon native, member of the Nonprofit Leadership Alliance and Oak Ridge Eagle alumni. Yep. Dom joined our team after graduating from Western Michigan University with a Bachelor's of Business Administration in 2018. While at Western, she studied entrepreneurship with a focus on product development and double minored in general marketing and nonprofit leadership. Before United Way, Dominique worked as a social justice coordinator with the Wesley Foundation, managing a soup kitchen, assisting with housing vouchers, supporting migrant families, and supporting anti-racism work. Her passions include social justice, veteran services, nature conservation, and volunteerism. She and her partner Ben take a very active role with their 7 nieces and nephews. She is proud to serve the community where she grew up and looks forward to supporting our neighbors every day. And they are a great part of a wonderful team at United Way. And as you can see from their words, from their bios, that they'll be great assets to the Rotary Club here.
Excellent. JJ and Dominique, you have been chosen to membership in the Rotary Club of Muskegon because your fellow members believe that you are a leader in your vocation and because you manifest those qualities of head and heart which fit you to interpret and impart the message of Rotary to those with whom you come in contact. You are representative of your vocation in this club, and any contribution of an educational value pertaining to the vocation must naturally come through you. On the other hand, you become an ambassador from us to your work, and it becomes your duty to carry the ideals and principles of service to your work. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal service on the basis of worthy enterprise, in particular to encourage and foster the development and acquaintance of opportunity for service, the high ethical standards of business and profession, and recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupations, and dignifying by each Rotarian of his occupation as an opportunity to serve society. And third, the application of the ideal of service by every Rotarian to his personal, business, and community life. And then finally, the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through world fellowship of business and professional persons united in the ideal of service. I charge you to judge yourself by the Rotary 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. The community will know and judge Rotary through your embodiment of it in the character of your service, and we accept you as a member because we believe our principles and organizations to be safe in your keeping. We also expect much from you in terms of help and inspiration, which will enable us to become better Rotarians. And with this hope, we most heartily offer you Rotary Fellowship. Thank you for joining us. We are so happy to have you. We have Contessa. Do we have an announcement from DEI today? Yes, we do. Thank you.
Hello again. I will try and go through this really quickly. But on behalf of DEI Committee, we are promoting 2 events. First up is Ngioma Grievous with West Michigan Symphony is coming to Fruenthal Center tomorrow night at 7:30, as well as The Block performing solo this Saturday at 7:30. 23-year-old Ngioma Grievous will make her debut with West Michigan Symphony. First prize winner at the 2023 National Sphinx Competition in Detroit. Grievous will perform Glory, a new composition by Marcus Norris of Jackson, Michigan. Norris, who made his first music producing rap beats on pirated software, will be in Muskegon for rehearsals and the performance, and will be also visiting young music students at Oakview and Marquette Elementary. So Rotary members will receive a 10% discount for tickets using code Rotary. The total cost of tickets are $27 each. If you have a pen and paper or use your phone, in order to get these tickets, please call 726-3231. 726-3231. Yes, put it in room. The other event is the Detroit 67. Now, this is the play featuring Detroit Public Theater set in the long, hot summer of 1967. Motown has hit its groove, but the streets of Detroit are about to erupt in the historic 12th Street riots. Muskegon Rotary has a block of seats set aside for the closing night performance at 7:30 Saturday, March 11th at the Fruenthal Beasley Theater. Attendees are also invited to the cast party following the play at the Fru Lounge. So I have sign-up sheets, and I also have the names of people who had already signed up. So please find me after Rotary today. And also, if you're still looking to sign up, you still have time, and please have your money or checks ready, and I'll go right to the box office after lunch. So thank you.
And now we are at the important part of the meeting where we all dream of getting a little richer. It's our raffle. Rich Berry will help us. We have. That table got very excited. I think they think they're going to draw the second one now, too. Oh, and I bought the first ticket, Rich. Oh. Ooh, back over here. Yay! Well, now that's Rotary. We have 3 people who have fulfilled their dream today. Next week, our program is going to be Age Well Services of West Michigan. Looking forward to that. And now we will conclude our meeting by rising and saying the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial for all concerned?